Part 2. Number 3. I don't know what's happening in the movie. Again, C-grade hack writers and producers were put in charge of a Star Trek movie.
That's where I will want you to look. And it's amazing.
They write a story that looks like it's a complex mystery plot, but when you break it down, nothing makes sense. I guess we're supposed to forget about the details of what just happened in the movie by the time we get to the drool-inducing action scenes. Don't ask questions, just keep shoving popcorn in your faces and shelling out money. I'm gonna ask questions, goddammit. So the real story begins when Worf's thing beeps and they scan a positronic signature in the Colaris region.
Captain, I am picking up an unusual electromagnetic signature from the Colaran system.
Which is of course B4 was on a planet. It's been placed there by Shinzon as a way to bait Picard.
The bait you couldn't refuse.
First of all, it's never explained how Shinzon found a rare Noonien Sung android. Was it on Romulus? Did he find it in space? Was it just a coincidence that he found it and it was the same as Data, who just happens to be Picard's second officer? That's awfully convenient. Also, how did he get it to emit the positronic signature specifically at the Enterprise? Because if the Enterprise's computers detected it, you'd think other starships in the area would have too. There would be probably like 20 ships all arriving at Colaris 4. They'd all be like, "Are you guys here to check out the positronic reading too? How weird! So are we! Don't forget about us too!" Hey everyone, let's meet down on the planet. Bring your dune buggies and beer. Number 4. B4. You sunk my starship. So everything Shinzon does to set up his master plan makes no sense. He wanted Picard to take B4 home with him. He also wanted Picard himself. I guess for the blood transfusion, although he never did seem interested in doing it.
It is time for the procedure. We must begin the procedure now.
So why did his initial plan put both of those things in jeopardy? First of all, why is B4 scattered about in pieces? The only reason I can think of is to have Picard and his friends find each piece one at a time, in order to make it look like this is some kind of complex mystery plot when it isn't. I guess maybe Shinzon found them in pieces and didn't know how to assemble them. But why scatter them all over the place then? Why not just leave them in a pile? Let's think about this for a moment. What happened last time they found an android in pieces and assembled it?
Are you prepared for the kind of death you've earned, little man?
Oh God, right.
Back off, or I'll turn your little man into a torch.
The only person turning my little man into a torch is my urologist. So Shinzon apparently wanted them to assemble B4 so that B4 could gather tactical information on Starfleet and lure Picard. So how did Shinzon know they wouldn't just dump the android parts into a storage bin and deal with it later? Or send it to a starbase for them to assemble and research? You'd think a guy who could build a massive ship with a perfect cloak could assemble a plastic android. That fat guy with the beard did it, so why couldn't he? That would have been a little smarter to ensure that B4 did what he was supposed to do. So we've established that Shinzon wanted Picard to find the android. So why did he make it so hard and dangerous to find? Or it was placed on a planet with dangerous ion storms or something that prevented them from using their transporters.
I wouldn't recommend using the transporter. That ion storm doesn't look very neighborly.
Okay. It was also put on a planet right near a bunch of aliens with machine guns that shoot at everything. But were those Remans disguised as primitive aliens with machine guns and tanks? To make it look like primitive aliens and machine guns and tanks were shooting at them? If so, why? It's really hard to tell because them aliens kind of look like Remans, but I'm not sure. I don't think they were. If they weren't Remans, then why did they put B4 on that planet right by them aliens with machine guns? That could have killed Picard. Either thing makes no sense. I think the whole scene was there so they could just have an action chase in a Jeep. Really? That's it? How did a fucking kindergartner write this movie? Number 5. Picard, the Argo, and a big fuck you to the audience.
It was the first great gift that John Logan gave me when Data and Worf and Picard go down to the alien world. Picard goes along and we are given a futuristic all-terrain vehicle to drive.
It's mentioned in the behind the scenes that Brent Spiner's friend John Logan wrote the script, hence the excessive Brent Spiner screen time.
And frankly, I'm enough of a Brent Spiner fan that I like seeing him play more than one person.
It's also mentioned that Patrick Stewart likes cars and driving and off-roading in real life, and he'd be more happy with the script if he had a scene where he could drive a dune buggy.
I've always enjoyed driving. I really, really enjoy driving, and it's something I think about and I try to remain focused on all the time.
Rick Berman doesn't care about the Star Trek legacy anymore, and he seems like some kind of idiot, so he didn't object. So the result is the dumbest sequence in Star Trek history. A dune buggy chase. Really? No, really, this is real. This was actually filmed and put in a Star Trek movie. Yes, the enlightened Captain Picard, who loves playing flutes, drinking tea, and reading Shakespeare, also loves redneck off-roading. Can anything be more out of character? So you're telling me that the Enterprise has a support craft in which almost the entire space inside it is devoted to housing a vehicle that's less useful than the craft that houses it. A shuttlecraft can fly around, it can hover, land anywhere, fly up into the air to escape, say, other dune buggies. So what can the Argo do? Hold only 3 crew members. Provide no protection from the elements of alien worlds. Provide no real storage capacity. Is unable to get around mountains, rivers, or other natural barriers. Has only one compartment in the back that houses a giant laser cannon, only useful if you happen to get in a chase scene with other land-based vehicles. Jesus, this thing reminds me of a He-Man toy or something. Now, after doing some research, I found out that Argo is a trademark brand that makes ATVs. I assume they were responsible for the design or the creation of this thing, but I'm not really sure. That or it was named after the mythical ship Argo, but that was a ship. This is a dune buggy. I don't know, nor do I really care. What I do know is that the only thing spinning faster than those tires is Gene Roddenberry in his grave. Number 6. Picard loses a bet. Apparently, in his academy days, Picard had lost a bet. Then, although he was used to having a great head of hair that the ladies loved, he agreed to take a smiling picture of himself shortly after he lost the bet and shaved his head. After careful analysis of this movie by a team from the Hair Club for Men, we have come up with one of 2 possible explanations of the picture. That Picard lost a bet, or the filmmakers think the audience is stupid. I'm going with the latter. I have a feeling a conversation like this happened.
So Picard's clone is just like him then?
No, that's been done too much.
So he's younger then?
Yeah.
But he's got to be bald, because if he's not bald, then the audience, even if we tell them, still won't understand that he's Picard's clone, because Picard is the bald captain. If he's not bald, then no one will understand what's happening.
Okay, he's bald. So I'm willing to accept the fact that Shinzon probably shaved his head to look more like the Remans. But why does young Picard have a shaved head? Well, remember what Picard looked like when he was a cadet. He wasn't always bald. Remember that time when Picard's DNA got reverted and he ended up like a child? He had hair. Even the young clone Picard had hair. Additionally, when Dr. Crusher has a flashback to some time in the past when Picard was a little younger, we see the last remnants of his hairline. And while these examples are technically a Q recreation, a DNA transporter accident, and a nightmare brought on by a telepath, I still present them as evidence that Picard had male pattern baldness. That, and he has a clear crown line on the back of his head. So then why does this photo show a cadet Picard that looks exactly like Shinzon? The answer is, they think the audience is stupid. If this photo had looked like this, a picture of a young Picard as a cadet with hair, I guess we're all supposed to scratch our thick monkey craniums and ask, why is Picard staring at a picture of some guy? Even though the following dialogue with Dr. Crusher explains what the photo is, if the cadet didn't look exactly like Shinzon, we'd all be confused. Really? We're not that dumb. You know, this is kind of like if they made a film or even had a scene in a film that featured Abraham Lincoln as a boy, they'd have him wearing a stovepipe hat and a fake beard. That's how dumb the filmmakers think we are. Enough about that. Listen, I'm almost certain I'm gonna hit it big on this slot machine. I just need a couple $1,000 more bucks. I promise I'm gonna pay it back when I win. Please send cash only to Trump Taj Mahal Casino Hotel, care of here. Continued in part 3.